of the experience of touch and contact between the soles of your feet and the floor beneath you. You might feel the bottom resting in the chair or the couch or the cushion. And perhaps inviting the pelvic floor to release and to let go, feeling the weight of your body come to rest. You might find your spine rising gently upright and open, such that the top of your head is open to the sky above. And perhaps the two hands are resting in the lap, your armrests, or whatever other position is comfortable today. If there's any little adjustment to be made to be both more comfortable and more present, go ahead and make that adjustment now. And as you sit, know that you are sitting. And perhaps now inviting awareness to wherever the breath is most alive in this moment, most easily felt. Perhaps the belly or the chest or the nose or somewhere else. And simply and being aware of the sensations of the breath as they flow in and out at its own pace. Nowhere else to be right now. Nothing else to do. Just sitting, just breathing. Where is awareness now? If it's wandered, simply noticing that kindly and inviting awareness again to the sensations of the breath. If it's of benefit, when the breath is long, awareness of the breath is long. And when the breath is short, awareness of the breath being short. Or perhaps when inhaling, awareness of inhaling all the way to that little turn around and pause of the breath that then flows into exhaling, an awareness of exhaling all the way to that little pause and turn of the breath. Again, inhaling, awareness of inhaling. If awareness wanders, noticing and gently inviting back to the sensations of the breath. Or should your practice today have moved in other directions of benefit? Simply allowing my voice to float along the surface. Today, you might choose to continue with your awareness of breath practice. Or if it's right for you, you might choose to let go of technique and rest in a sense of being. Allowing the wisdom of your practice to show you the way. Resting in awareness. Perhaps connecting with the sensations of the breath, if that's your practice today. And perhaps resting in the sense of being, if that's your practice today. Perhaps now inviting awareness to how you are in this moment. Just noticing the body, the emotions, thoughts, And perhaps expressing some appreciation to yourself for showing up to practice today with everybody else that's here. And may our practice be to the benefit of all beings. And perhaps now rubbing your feet on the floor if you're sitting in a chair, or wiggling fingers as you gently open your eyes and stretch and move in whatever way your body would like to stretch or move. Oh, thank you. And I was actually wondering, it's helpful for me to get a sense of who's in the room. And so if people are comfortable, and for those that aren't on video, if you're comfortable turning it on at some point, that can be helpful. Could you just say hello? I know you all have been practicing together for longer than I have, but could you just let me know maybe what you like to be called, and a little bit of your meditation background, and something that delights you? So I can start. So I'm Jennifer Cho. You can call me Jen or Jennifer. Like I said in the beginning, though not everybody was here, I've been practicing meditation since the early 2000s. First Zen, and then Vipassana, and then some non-dual, and then Theravada. And so been kind of, taken my path, and I've been teaching MBSR for quite a while. And something that delights me is when my daughter and my puppy are causing good trouble together. She's 11, and the daughter is 11 and the puppy is 2, and they are just really adorable together. So that delights me. Yeah. How about somebody else?
Okay, I'll break the ice. Hopefully you can hear me.
Thank
Jennifer,
you.
thanks for being here again tonight and the last few weeks. I'm Chris, and I live up in Ithaca, New York. That's where I'm zooming in from today. And I've been pretty much practicing pretty regularly now in this tradition since about 2015, and with Aya for the last couple of years. Or so, kind of met her on a retreat when she was at Aloka Vihara, and I've been practicing with her since then, and really gotten to appreciate this Tuesday night tune-in with most of the folks who are here. It was just really delightful today. I was walking outside on the way back to my house late this afternoon, and there were a few snowflakes, and there was about an inch of snow on the ground, and the sun was just at that low angle, but coming through the clouds, right? So it was a little brighter than it had been 4 weeks ago, but still kind of that deep angle of the sun, but still glittering off the snow. And I was just really really appreciating that. Have a lot of gratitude for that moment.
Mm.
So thanks for asking about that.
Thank you for, I'm also getting over a cold, so thank you for sharing that, Chris. Yeah, thanks. What about somebody else?
I'm Susan Young, and call me Susan. Only my mother could call me. We used to call me Sue, and that's it. I really don't like Sue. Susan's much better. Thank you. Let's see. I've been practicing now. I think I'm in my 5th year, and I met Aya at a retreat down in southern part of Virginia. Forget the name of it. Tall Pine, something like that. And I live in Arlington, and her Vihara is in Arlington. So it was a very good match, and I'm very happy that I've met her and all the people I see when I come on Tuesday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. So does this group, like, it meets in person as well, right? Or has it always been like video?
Well, I think when she started, it was COVID.
It was COVID, so
we
it
were
was
video.
okay. Yeah.
And now, I guess we could go to the Vihara. I mean, I go to the Vihara every other Thursday. I bring her food for the day. So I stay with her Thursday morning meditation. Otherwise, I'm on
okay.
Zoom.
Great. Okay, thank you, Susan.
Mhm.
Who next?
I'm Pedro. I'm the newbie of the group. I've only been practicing for about a year, about 6 months with Aya. So I'm still kind of learning how things work and learning my practice and kind of figuring out my path. I did want to share this little guy that I just got. At the Chinese New Year celebration. So it's solar powered. It's a little instrument. It goes off in the morning. I put it right in front of the window. And then solar power hits it and it starts doing like a little meditation rhythm for me.
Was that your delightful thing?
That was my delightful.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. That was delightful. How about somebody else? Thank you, Pedro. Harsha, Charles Lee, Ashley.
I can go next. So I'm Harsha. It's, I go by Harsha. It's like Marsha with an H is how I introduce myself. So, and it works most times. Sometimes, it's noted down as Marshall because they don't expect, me to introduce myself as Marsha with an H, and that goes too, So regards to my introduction to meditation, for a long time, there was a lot of reluctancy on my part to meditate. It was, hard, and there was more thinking when I sat down, and it did not happen until very recently. So just within the last, I would say 3-4 weeks that I've really taken to meditation, and it's become a regular practice. During the pandemic, I started with listening to Dharma talks, and I signed up for an app, and it was very helpful. But still, it was all gravitation towards discussions and teachings, and not so much experiential, in terms of practice. And I'm really glad to see that at the beginning of this year that has changed for me. So I would say that has been my greatest delight, to see the teachings, come into practice. And it's a joy that it's a great joy. Yeah.
Thank you, Harsha. All right. Charles Lee or Ashley?
Sure, I can go next. So I'm Charles Lee, and I'm in New Mexico. And I guess from what I gathered, the last few who shared, I got here a little late, or a lot late. I started probably studying or learning about Buddhism maybe a year before the pandemic. And I was like a nightstand Buddhist. So I loved, reading and kind of, it's like, this is like a really interesting take on life. I think I was also reading a lot about Stoicism as well. And it took a while to kind of start actually practicing. I'd find far more enjoyment kind of listening to Dharma talks and kind of over and over. But as the middle of COVID happened and kind of like everything contracted, that did give me a lot of time to develop a practice. And so now I do try to practice at least twice a day. And I just really enjoyed being, having the access to many different teachers and many different teaching styles. And I particularly like many of the monastic teachers. I think that's it. And then was it supposed to have like something delightful?
Something delightful. You
Something
may not have a little
delightful.
solar powered
I don't
Buddha,
know.
but if something
All I have is I've got a coffee mug. And I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in Connecticut, so this is a Block Island coffee mug. So it does remind me of the ocean. So we have just about everything in New Mexico except for water.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And Ashley, it's completely fine if it's right for you to, stay off camera today. The practice is always about, being present for the moment and wise discernment. So thank you everybody for sharing. And I'm just okay. I wasn't sure if she, wanted to or not. So but thank you for, kind of saying hello and your practice and something that delights you. I think today I'd like to kind of to talk about the refuges actually, and return to kind of the beginnings. And so to begin today, I'd actually like you to close your eyes and we'll do a little guided meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes and find the breath again, wherever it's most alive for you. And just notice the sensations of the breath and simply breathe. So when you breathe in, feeling the sensations of breathing in. And when you breathe out, feeling those sensations of breathing out. And you might now reflect on why you're here. So you might allow the question to kind of drop into your consciousness like a well, like a pebble dropped into a well. And just notice what comes up when I ask you, why are you here? And you don't have to answer, just notice what arises for you. What difficulty or struggle or challenge Why are you here? And breathe with whatever arises in your awareness. And you might gently allow whatever arose to kind of drift to the side, and notice again as I ask, why are you here? And just notice what arises. And you might allow that to kind of drift to the side, and notice what arises as I ask the question for the third and final time. Why are you? Why are you here? And notice what arises. And perhaps now in your awareness, kind of step back and notice the variety of things that arose. And notice how you feel in your body as you notice these things. Perhaps for some, there's a sense of aversion, or, that's hard or painful and I'd like to turn away. Or for some, maybe it's pleasant and I'd like to move towards. Just kind of noticing what arose and how you are with it. And then taking a deep breath, maybe a little slower, a little deeper than normal. And taking a few of these breaths. And gently opening your eyes when you're ready. And if it's right for you, you can also turn on the camera. And so, we don't have to share what arose, but you can just notice for yourself what did. Because as we talk about the three refuges, I was reflecting on it, and the word refugee came up, and the definition for the word refugee is, I had it and my other computer screen turned off, and so let me bring it up. So the definition for the word refugee is a person who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. And the word refuge, I can read that again. So a person who's been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. And the definition of the word refuge is a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. So as we reflect on the three refuges, we might reflect that oftentimes people come to the path for a reason. And often it has to do with somehow life being a challenge or something being unsatisfactory or difficult. That, I'll share a little story. When I first started meditating years ago, right, I was on a retreat, and one of the Buddhist nuns there, she said, people don't come to meditation often, or especially your age, if they're happy, right? That there's normally something that they're here for, right? That there's a reason for people coming to Buddhism and to the three refuges. And so I'm sharing that to kind of make it real for people, and perhaps for yourself. Maybe, there's something that you're here for. And so the three refuges are the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. And so we can think of them as the historical Buddha, that the Buddha that Aya talks about, right? That has, kind of the first awakened one, right? And we can think of the Dharma as the path that he talked about and has been shared, through the years. And the Sangha, which is the community of practitioners, everybody here with, your histories, the things that delight you, and also maybe what you, got in contact with about why you are here in the time that you're practicing with Aya and why you're here tonight, right? And we can also think of the Buddha in another context as the awakened one, and also the potential for each person here to awaken, right? That the Buddha was the first in a long line of bodhisattvas and others that became fully awakened. And so the Buddha can also kind of stand for the potential for everybody here to awaken from, the kind of the trance that we live in, and actually that we might already be awake and not realize it. And the Dharma, viewed from another way, is the path not just that the Buddha has laid out through all his teachings. The inner Dharma is the path within you, the path inside you as you practice, right? It's the path that you learn by, coming to Dharma talks and practicing meditation and seeing how the Dharma actually lives in your life, right? It's where the rubber meets the road, right? There's the teachings, and then what is the reality for you? What is your life? What is the path for you? And then the Sangha, viewed in another way, all here. And then also, the larger Sangha of those, beyond this smaller Sangha. And also maybe the Sangha of all your experiences of your life that are present, right? How do we find community and peace with all of these experiences. And so it's just something to think about and to reflect upon, this 3 refuges of why you're in this practice. Because sometimes it can be, there's benefit in knowing why. There's a saying in the meditation world that everything rests on the tip of intention, or your motivations, because that helps to, engender good karma in one's life, right? And so to be practicing with a clear sense of, why you're practicing. And with the refuges, there might be a sense of, what it is that brought you to the practice. And then looking at like how the refuges actually play out in one's life, right? Because we can say, okay, well, the refuges are, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. And we can also reflect upon what is it that we actually take refuge in, that we have historically taken refuge in our life, right? Like, what did we do for comfort? What did we do to feel better? What did we do to deal with the stresses and the unsatisfactory nature of life prior to this, right? Or even during this, right? Did we, do things like distract ourselves or stay busy? Did we do things to like numb ourselves? Do we do things to, attack the situation? Do we pull away because our tender hearts have been broken before? Do we, do things to distract from pain or to turn away from the difficulties in life, right? Which might include, things that we don't want to happening, or the 3, what we call the 3 heavenly messengers: sickness, old age, and death, right? Or the 3 marks of existence, how things are, they're not perfect, and they're not permanent. And also that they're not personal. So there's all these things about life that are a challenge. And so it helps to know how we habitually take refuge in things, right? So I'm going to actually just pause a second for people to reflect, right? When things are difficult, and it doesn't have to be like, capital D difficult, but when things are challenging, right? Where do you go? And what do you do? Right? What is your go-to? Yeah. Yeah. And so that, is a refuge, right? It may not be, for some, maybe it's a healthy refuge. For others, maybe not, right? And so as we do this, to have a sense of kindness and compassion for oneself, because everybody just does the best that they know how to do, right? It's kind of like when you see a tree and the tree kind of grows a little funny or a little crooked, or it's kind of like, a little stunted or whatever it is. We don't judge it. We don't judge trees for how they are, right? We just kind of notice, oh, this tree is this way because of the soil that it grew in, or because it was shaded by another tree, or it had to grow around a rock. So as we think about the refuges that we use, we might also be kind to ourselves in the same non-judgmental way, that whatever arose for each of us as we think about our refuges, that there are reasons, right? That we have grown and become how we are, right? In Buddhism, we talk about causes and conditions, right? And that how each of us are, it's not personal, right? It's this like, from these causes and conditions, we've become who we are. And then there's also choice, right? And so we might know we have certain refuges that we go to, some beneficial, some maybe not beneficial. And we might also know why we go to some of these refuges, right? And then we might reflect on the possibility of turning to the three refuges, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And to do that, right, it's often helpful to actually tune in to what we call the feeling tone of a moment. And so feeling, I don't mean like an emotion feeling. I don't mean like, excited or sad or mad, right? In Buddhism, it's called Vedana, which means whether something has, when you encounter it, whether it has this like is it pleasant or is it unpleasant or is it neutral, right? And it often operates like almost on an unconscious level, right? Because it's like when we first contact something, it might feel pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And then we often habitually just kind of go into some reaction. And so what I mean by that is often when something is pleasant, we want more of it, and there's craving and there's attachment and there's, how can we get more, right? Or sometimes there's, if it's unpleasant and there's aversion and wanting to push it away or get away from it or, not experience it, right? Or there's a neutral where it's just kind of like not really conscious, kind of confused, etc. And in these moments of the feeling tone, often we go straight into kind of our habitual patterns. Like this is like, I don't know if anybody else has experienced it, but have you ever like done something or you were reacting to something and like it already happened before you even like realized you were doing it, right? And so that's kind of the habit patterns that come out of Vedana or these feeling tones. And so if we're able, often through the practice of meditation, to slow things down and to become more aware, we're able to kind of notice when we have like urges arise for things, and then to like surf that urge, and to kind of notice, oh, like somebody was saying today, oh, that they it can be as simple as like really like something difficult happening in one's life and you want to like, turn on the TV or you want to, go work out or whatever it is that you do when something is stressful, right? And noticing, oh, something difficult has happened. And now I want to, like, I'm reacting, right? And if we're able to like slow that time between something kind of triggering us and us choosing a response, that is the ability to perhaps choose a healthier refuge or a more sustainable place to go to. And those times where we feel like there's a storm outside in our lives, right? Or in those times where, things are dry, or a sense of unhappiness, or a sense of like things just are not going the way that I'd like to. You know, as I was actually getting onto the call tonight, I had this experience where I'm actually using my work computer, and I thought I sent the link to my work computer, and then I got on and I went, oh my God, it's not here, right? And I was like, where am I? What am I? And it was like 2 minutes until the class was about to start, and I was like, I can't believe I did this, and I felt lost, right? And in that moment, then I realized, oh, this is what it feels like when we lose our way, right? We have this moment of panic, and we feel like we don't know what to do. And we feel like, oh no, like people are going to judge me, and all these other things that can come from this moment, right? And then I thought of how often do we lose our way in life, right? Like we have plans for our life, and we have this thought of how it's going to go, right? We have this like white picket fence idea of what it means to be happy, or what it means to live the life that we want. And so often that might not happen, right? Sometimes by our choosing, often not by our choosing, things happen. And our life kind of takes a turn, and we might feel lost for some time, right? Trying to find our way again. And during that time, maybe we turn to refuges that we learned in our life at some point. And then perhaps we discover like, it's not really a true refuge, right? That really doesn't, shelter me from the storm. And so maybe there's a possibility of, turning towards the 3 refuges, which are also known as the 3 jewels, right? So these refuges are also jewels in one's life. And so I guess with that, I'll take a pause and kind of just open it up for